together the City of Lake Forest Park and Rec approval of the June 9th, 2011 Committee of the Whole Special Meeting Minutes. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So approved. And then approval of the June 14th, 2011 Park Board Minutes. Motion? Who wants?
So moved.
Second.
And those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Boy, that was quick. Glad there was no comments on that. So our spotlight for this evening is on the North Suburban Special Recreation Association, and we're going to have a presentation by the Executive Director, Craig Culp. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me out tonight. You know, to Mary and to the board, it's just a pleasure to be part of the Lake Forest Recreation Department. My name is Craig Culp. I'm the Executive Director at NSSRA, and we started our 41st year this year of service to our communities. And basically, the best way to describe who we are is we're a park district for individuals with disabilities within the North Shore area. We have 13 partner communities. Our northern border is Lake Bluff, and our southern border is Glenview and Wilmette, and basically everything in between. Our farthest west community is Riverwoods, and then everything in between. So serve the 13 communities of the North Shore. And I've been the Executive Director at NSSRA. It'll be 3 years in December. So it's been a pleasure working with Mary and our board and all of our communities, of which Lake Forest is, you know, a very important partner with us. I have put together, I brought out our 40th anniversary video, which does a much better job of explaining who and what we are than I could ever do. Then after the video, I'll run through some specific stats and programs that are happening here in Lake Forest, and of course, we'll open up to any questions that anybody may have. So with that, we could watch the video. It's just 6 minutes, so. But we don't have volume.
We need sound.
We did before.
Oh, I know her. Do you?
I could narrate, but you really don't want to hear the music coming from me.
The littlest
There we go.
accomplishment gets complimented and reinforced and rewarded. It just gives everyone such a sense of value.
And with 800 sport, physical, social, cultural, and special event programs to offer, fun is our business.
The variety of programs that we are able to offer is like no other community.
At NSSRA, we know the benefit of our programs goes well beyond the basketball game, the camping trip, or the swimming lesson. We know that fun changes, even transforms the lives of our participants. One lesson, one game, one event at a time. It's about friendship, belonging, and acceptance.
We're here to put smiles on people's faces, to give them a sense of belonging.
We all need a friend. Every one of us in this world need a friend.
The thing is, we got tons of friends here.
Yeah.
Who are your friends at NSSRA? And who else is your friend? And who else? Quinn? And who else?
Our participants are all treated like individuals and get a great sense of family and friendship, camaraderie out of that program.
It's about joining in and being part of the team.
I do play sports. I play basketball, softball, volleyball, the game sports. They're working hard, and when they accomplish something, it's such a great feeling for them.
All of you guys are my heroes.
And we just play our hearts out.
You epitomize just good sportsmanship.
It's about independence, achievement, and the self-esteem that comes with it.
You pull up to an NSSRA event, he will literally push you out. It's like, this is my time, these are my friends, and he will push us out the door. And that's just the biggest proof that he is becoming independent.
They make them feel valuable, they make them feel like winners.
So the whole socialization, the whole memory building, and it's just a very complete experience for them. And this allows them, I think, the ability to come back home and know that they did it.
It's about feeling included and fitting right in.
NSSRA provides the inclusion and eliminates the exclusion.
With a little help,
he has a place and he belongs there just as much as any other child.
It breaks down some barriers. It encourages inclusion. It encourages community and belonging, and it educates.
This is much bigger than the recreation. This is an example to society of how everyone can have a place.
Once they see that there is so much in common and so much similarity about who people are, regardless of their abilities, then they kind of realize, wow, they're just like me.
It's about having a great time and life being richer for it.
They are experiencing life at its fullest.
He comes home and he's just glowing. He's had so much fun.
And I'm glad that my dad put me in this program because it means a lot to me.
It's about making a meaningful difference in the lives of the people we serve and the families who love them.
For us, a lot of it was respite.
It has a very strong effect, a calming effect on the family to just know all that's working so much better. But when he comes back, he's had a great time, you get the feedback of everything he's done, and it just makes you feel really good.
Fun brings new friends, new skills, and new opportunities you might not have imagined for yourself.
And so it's really helped me just, have a whole different perspective on, the direction that individuals' lives can go in when they're provided with the tools to experience the things that they want to do.
So no matter your age or ability level, our message is, come join the fun.
Just come and have fun with us. We want you to be part of our community.
There's no better job in the world than working with our participants, and I would encourage them to do what they want to do, follow their dreams, because I've seen it. Any of us and our participants, we can accomplish what we want. Don't let people tell you no. Don't let people, give you a hard time. Just follow your dreams, ask for help, and you'll succeed.
And whether you're a staff member, a volunteer, or a donor, you're helping to make a real difference in the lives of people with disabilities. Thank you for believing in our participants. Thank you for believing in the power of fun.
I can't imagine working anywhere else.
Just thank you, and thank you to your families for trusting us to provide you with this fun, and allowing us this opportunity to get to know you, to make friends with you, to have these relationships.
Thank you for accepting all kids.
Thank you for many enjoyable moments, both of and emotional moments. We have both laughed a lot and we have teared up a lot. And in summary, we thank you for all of that.
Thank you, WEC people. I have fun with you.
Thank you, NSSRA.
We appreciate everything you do.
Simply a great big thank you.
Thank you, NSSRA.
Thank you for working with me. We're very grateful.
Thank you, NSSRA.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, or we'll see.
We're friends. We're family. We are athletes. We're heroes.
Is that in the heart? Look at all of them. See this big heart?
We are NSSRA.
See, I wasn't kidding that it does a much better job of explaining who and what we are than I could ever do. But I'd love to share with you, I think the video does a great job of just explaining and showing just the wide range of programming that we have. And the two things I like to point out there are we have a wheelchair curling program, believe it or not. Wheelchair curling is the newest Paralympic sport. And we use the Northbrook Curling Club. They have welcomed us, and we're having trouble finding athletes because there aren't a lot of wheelchair curlers, just walking around or rolling around. So that's really a very niche program we have. And then we do everything from there to next week on Sunday, we have 29 adults flying to Maine. And every year we have a trip to Maine to the camp called Camp Wigwam. And for 34 years, we sent a group of adults to this camp and this year we're going for 8 nights, 9 days, 8 nights. We have 29 adults going. Some adults have gone for more than 30 years in a row with us. And no other SRA has a trip like that or the history with that. And then just everything else in between, from the sports to the after-school programs to our inclusion programs, et cetera. So I think that's really a strength and something that we all as partners need to be proud of. Specifically in Lake Forest, and I provided a packet, and in your packet that Mary sent out, you can see the stats of participation here for the city of Lake Forest. But I just wanted to touch base on where and when we're in your town taking advantage of the great partnership. Our Special O softball team has been playing at Town Line Park for a couple of years. We actually have 2 softball teams for Special Olympics. And just about a month ago, we had our end of the year staff versus participant game, and we've developed a relationship with the Northwestern Wildcats and Pat Fitzgerald. So he sent out 3 of his athletes to play with the staff against our Special Olympic athletes, and they were great. So every year at the end of the season, we have a staff versus participant game, and you were nice enough to host that for us, all of our games plus our end of year celebration. Also at Town Line Park, we have our Buddy Baseball program, and that's a kids baseball program, all abilities, all levels, and it's buddy baseball. So it's one-on-one playing baseball, and we started a buddy sports program earlier this year. So we had buddy basketball, and we had 30 people participating in that in Glenview. We rolled it into buddy baseball, and we had a total of 15 people playing on our buddy baseball team this year, buddies and participants, and Town Line was our host for that too. So we thank you so much for that. Our longest standing location for our Saturday lineups is here in Lake Forest. Our youth lineup, every Saturday we have 4 different lineups for different ages. And a parent or participant can sign up for the program and start at either 9 or 10 in the morning and go until 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 continuous programs. The youth lineup has been in Lake Forest for years. During the school year, it's at Everett School, and then in the summertime, it's at the Rec Center. And those 4 programs are, we have sports, and then a recreation time, and then lunch, and then our bowling program. So we range typically between about 10 and 15 participants per season for that. And our families love it, and so many families, you graduate from the 7 to 12-year-olds into the teenage lineup and then into the adult lineup. So they have a blast with that, and it's been here for many, many years. Our bocce program, we have a Special Olympics bocce team, which is very popular. And Lake Forest, we rotate it through our communities because we play 3 out of 4 seasons a year. So one of the 3 seasons, it's always in Lake Forest. So Lake Forest takes care of our folks on the northern end, so they don't have to travel as far or get picked up in our vehicles. Then Northbrook hosts it, and then Winnetka hosts it. And we rotate it on a seasonal basis all through there. So that is another time that we're out here. And lastly, Deer Path School, which is right down the road here. That's our most common pickup for our northerly members. We pick up for our social clubs and our evening programs right there in front of Deer Path Schools. So our residents from Lake Forest and Lake Bluff and some from Deerfield that actually want to go north rather than south, that's where they meet. And so we're there, a couple of evenings a week every single year. Those are the programs that are typically happening here. Of course, we have many inclusions that are happening within all of our programs. And then stats-wise, you can see the bottom portion of our stats were the entire year of 2010. And then the upper portion is our complete winter and spring and up to this date for our summertime. And we're closing out our summer. Our last camp ends on Friday. And just wanted to mention a couple of other neat things that are happening soon. Tomorrow night, we have our second annual Summer Bash, which is a free party sponsored by our foundation. It's at Northbrook's Prairie Technic Park. And this was an idea that I brought to the agency, and we had our first one last year. And it's a free evening. We have a band coming out. Maggie Speaks is playing. Dinner's provided for everybody, and it's a social fun time for families of NSSRA to get together. And we're hoping for 200 people last year. We had 425 people sign up, which for SRAs, those numbers don't typically happen. And tomorrow night is our second annual, and we close the registration at 4:25 on Monday morning. So it's just going to be great. If you are interested, Mary has the information. I know that she passed it around, but if you're looking for a family event tomorrow night with some great music, and hopefully the rain will leave us alone, That'll be out in Northbrook. And then I just wanted to touch on our relationship with our foundation. This video was actually put together by one of our foundation trustees for our 40th anniversary, completely gratis. Her previous life, as she calls it, she was a VP of marketing for Sesame Street. And her daughter is involved in some of our programming. She's been on our foundation for about 2 years now. And she approached me and said, could I put together a video for your 40th anniversary? And that's the end result, which I think is just incredible. And again, it does such a better job than I could ever do in explaining what we do. I could talk forever about what NSSRA does, but I won't. So if you have any questions, I'd happily discuss any questions that you may have.
Do you have any questions, comments?
No, I don't either.
All right.
It's just fabulous.
Well,
It's
thank you
really
so much.
exciting. Thank you so much.
And again, thank you for your support, and Mary's our board member. It's a pleasure, honestly, for our team to be serving all of our partners, including Lake Forest. So thanks for your time tonight, and
Thank you for
have,
coming.
have me out anytime you'd
Good.
like.
And
Okay.
good luck tomorrow night.
Excellent. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Next is our Waveland Park Improvement Update by our new superintendent, Chuck Myers. That's what I mean. I have no idea.
Good evening. I am here to give you an update on the Waveland improvements. Hopefully you've had a chance to stop by out there, take a look at the tennis courts. They have been done for a couple months now, and they came out beautiful. A lot of nice comments from users. Seen quite a few people using it. This week they are installing the basketball standards. That should be done by the end of the week. That right now looks great too. I think that will be a popular addition to the park. So we have been starting on the playground preparations. We did have to remove a ball field, so we took out the backstop. That's all done. We did the layout last week. The equipment came in, and we're ready to start putting it together. We have a little bit of grading to do later this week, so we should be seeing the assembly starting next week. As soon as that's done, as soon as it's assembled, we'll be able to have the concrete curbing installed, followed by the poured in place surface. And then we're going to do some landscaping around the playground. And we should have the playground in place, weather dependent, in the next 3 weeks. And then there are a few other improvements that will take place as soon as this is done. As soon as the playground is functional, the new one, we'll be taking the old one down, removing the wood chips and the fence and all the old structures, and turning that into a picnic area. So that's just going to require a little bit of grading and seeding. And then the parking lot is scheduled for repaving starting October 1st. And at that time, we'll also be resurfacing the sidewalks and adding about 75 feet to connect to the playground and the tennis courts. We'll do a little bit more landscaping. We took the posts out of the front of the park. We're going to do some shrubs and trees, dress things up nicely. I think you see a nice look out there. I think people are going to like the look of it. We hope to have everything done by October 31st, hopefully a little sooner, so people have a chance to go out and use it. So we're excited about that. All right, any questions?
When you were removing the baseball diamond, did anybody make any comments or come up and say what's going on here, or any issues?
A little bit, but the guys that did it, they didn't get a whole lot. Okay. People are pretty excited. When I've been out there, people come up and they comment about how they're really excited about the playground coming. So
great, wonderful.
A lot of good feedback.
Good. That's great.
Will any portion of the park have to be closed for the demo or?
No, we're leaving things going, with the exception, when the paving is going on, of course, there'll be some restrictions in where they can go, but As far as our work that we're doing on the playground, everything, keep going.
Great. Wonderful.
Let
Thank you.
me just add, tomorrow morning, we're going to meet with Mary Kay Jacob, who's been helping, she's going to sponsor the basketball portion in memory of her son, and so we're going to be working on arrangements with her to finish that part up and plan a little celebration in memory of her son for the basketball courts. So we don't have details tonight to share on that, but that's in the works too. So I know she's very excited about it, and her family is looking forward to that time and sharing it with all of his friends. So we think that'll probably happen, earlier than when the whole park is done. We're going to try to do something probably a little bit separate, but so that's moving well too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now an update on the South Beach Access Road by Sally Swarthout.
Good evening. I'm here to bring you up to date on where we stand with the construction at Forest Park. I'm going to start with the construction on Lake Road. It's not on the property, but it will affect our end users, those especially trying to access the boat basin and the South Access Drive. The construction for Lake Road will begin on August 22nd, and it's going to happen between Deer Path Road and Spring Lane. There will be a detour route posted, and that will be Deer Path to Mayflower, south on Mayflower to Spring, and then east on Spring to Lake, and then you would continue south to access the lower area of the beach. The South Beach Access Road construction will begin on Tuesday, September 6th. There will be no access to the lower south lot or the boat basin at this time. They are going to take the road out that day. Sailboat storage and rack users will be able to park in the upper south lot or the lower north lot, and then they'll have to walk in to access their boats for launching. We are not having any pavilion rentals beginning September 6th. There's just no good way to get anybody into the pavilions, and it's a safety issue to have people down on that lower south end. The approved construction hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They have approved hours for Saturday, 8 to 6, but they are not seeing the need for that at this time, and will give us a 48-hour advance notice should they feel that they need to work on a Saturday. We've made a few accommodations for our users. Earlier this month, we sent communications out via email, standard mail, and posted on the website indicating this timeline and options open for our South Beach Access users. Those that are not choosing to store their watercraft at the lakefront, and those pulling their boats by September 5th from storage or the racks, will be issued a 20% rebate, and that rebate will be refunded to them in the original form that the payment was made. I just want to get that out there so it's not a check coming. It would be applied to your credit card if you paid by credit card. And then we did offer the opportunity to store power watercraft in the lower south lot as well as a personal vehicle. Those that are choosing to do that need to let Hunter Ratliff at the sales center know no later than August 31st so that we can make the proper arrangements for storage as well as notify the proper authorities what will be in the lot for the duration of the project. And that was the accommodations we have made for our users. I want to just kind of reiterate the timeline again. We're going to go August 22nd with the Lake Road construction beginning. You're also going to see some tree removal for the South Beach access process starting after the 22nd, obviously before the 5th. And you're also going to see the 2 lamp posts on the South Access Drive removed. They need to take those down for the project. They will be replaced upon completion. Again, the South Beach Access Road project will begin September 6th. October 3rd is the projected completion of the Lake Road project, and then November 19th is the projected completion of the South Access Road. And that is where our projects stand at this date.
Curious if you had any takers for keeping vehicles and boats down at the...
We do have a couple. people are, I think, really considering it. It's nice.
Great. It was a nice option. It was nice that the idea came
Yes.
from the audience and came from the community, so
Correct.
they know.
Came from the voters themselves,
Yeah.
and it's nice to see that they're actually going to take that
Yeah.
option up.
Good.
Any questions?
No?
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks,
Sally.
Well, actually, I did have a question. Obviously, mostly out of curiosity. Obviously, you and Hunter have discussed this. I'm wondering, for regattas, are our boats sort of trapped there for the interim? So we.
Our boats will be trapped. We may bring a few up and store them up so that we can get out. The team has been very successful this summer, has a very promising fall, so we will have to make arrangements to get our boats out of there. So we'll have to set some aside. Yeah.
Sally, can you share our most recent
Oh, yeah,
exciting
I'd love
news?
to. Our most recent, very exciting news is that the weekend of August 5th through the 7th, Lake Forest Sailing hosted U.S. National Championship for 470s. And I am very pleased and proud to announce that Hunter Ratcliffe and Ian Shapey are our national champions.
Wow.
Yeah, they brought home the first place.
Congratulations.
It's very exciting.
It's fantastic news.
Was very thrilling to watch.
Was it?
Yes, very thrilling to
Came
watch.
down to the last race.
Really?
Yeah, the
And
last
Hunter-
leg of the last race.
Hunter and Ian beat the other boat by a boat length.
Oh, my goodness. That's wonderful.
So, amazing, truly amazing, and wonderful sportsmanship happened the whole weekend long.
That's great. That's exciting. Good job. Good job. Mary?
Okay. Well, the first item I have tonight under my director's report was just to share a little bit about the Town Line Community Park. We have discussed as a park board in our workshops that we are struggling with some drainage challenges at that particular sports field. And we did hire a company to work with us to do some analysis that we needed to find out exactly what is the challenges that is happening at that park. And we did meet with them this morning. We've got a portion of the information back in. And basically what we had new topos run of the park just to make sure that the as-built we had properly reflected what the drainage and the grade was at the park. And we did have that confirmed that we did have the right topos and everything. The company that we're working with really feels that it's most likely it's not a grading issue so much it is a quality of soil issue. So we did have them take soil samples and they are waiting for the results of that to come back. And that will really change or possibly have us have to focus in a different fashion on what we would need to do out there to address it. Because basically, we've talked to this morning just initial options to potentially look at for that particular park. If it is a soil issue, which is really where it's leaning right now. And we've got a couple options, but we're going to firm up those numbers and bring those back to the park board and or city council in early September, so you kind of know what that might be. But the extreme situation would be, or challenge that we have is that if it's the soils, we need to find ways to amend the soil, properly get the water pulling out of the soil and moving out of the soil. And they did do analysis kind of looking at, for that particular zone in our in this northern locale, what is the typical soil content and what we have there right now. And unfortunately it is very clay based and it has very poor drainage, and unfortunately we are also on part of a hard pan where we built. So those are going to be some challenges for us. So we talked some options today. Any way we look at it, we probably would have to take the fields out of play for a little bit of time in order for them to get in there to do the work. And depending on how extreme the situation is, we could be out for a season up to two seasons potentially, to really get these fields back to what they need to be. I think one of the interesting thing is that they look great, from the distance. When you walk on them, it's just squishes. And it's a clear indication that the water just is not moving out of the soil, it's just sitting on the site. And the pitch is moving some of the water, but unfortunately when it's sitting more in a poor quality soil, it just has nowhere to go. It's not moving out of the soil. So that's what we're working on right now. I think we're working with a really good company. We've got Daniel Creaney as our consultant that's working with us on this. And what I'd like to do is get these numbers pulled together and the options. We need to share that with City Council as well, because the last conversation with City Council was we were looking at using the remaining referendum money for the playground. And we determined that since it wasn't an anomaly because of just a wet spring, we've had consistent wet springs and wet falls, and we've unfortunately not seen these fields react any different. We have to consider that as the norm now. So rather than spend the money potentially on the playground, we wanted to address this drainage issue first. So we're putting that information together. We do have the playground designs and a cost estimate prepared for that, but we've held on that, as you know, until we have this piece of the puzzle solved. So like I said, we had a good meeting today. We've got a little bit more work to do on that, and then I'll be bringing that back in September. Because of the timing, in order to catch the opportunity with getting the work in and getting the pricing done, we may bring it to City Council with the options, and then also share it with the Park Board at your September meeting. So it might be a little bit reversed than normal. But the sooner we can get in there, the better for this turf, and the better it'll be for us to really deliver the sport field playing conditions that we depend upon. The good news is it was to help us rest our neighborhood parks, which we have been doing for the last 2 years. So we will be able, if we have to close the fields, we do have other field options to put our sports in while we do the work there, and then we'll bring them back to this park once we know that the turf is where it needs to be again. So that is kind of the update that I have. I don't have specific numbers tonight to share yet, but we've been making progress, so that's good. Any questions on that, or no? Okay. The second thing I was going to share with you tonight was the city storm response. We did do a very full-blown presentation to City Council in the first meeting, 1st of August, but I had not had an opportunity to really share it with the Park Board. And what I thought I would do tonight is just kind of zero in on the storm responses related to our department. As you know, we're Parks and Forestry is part of our department, and this is our the first slide I wanted to share with you. Is we had 3 significant storms that hit Lake Forest between June 21st and July 11th. That in itself is quite a rarity to have 3 storms. And we would just get our breath and then another one would kind of come our way. And the Parks and Forestry Department, believe it or not, are really the first responders. The calls start coming into the police department with damage and closed streets. They immediately call our city forester, Peter Gordon, who activates our crews, which come in. And then we begin to assess whether or not we can go in there. If there's power lines down, we can't. We have to, pull off of those particular projects. If there's things just across the road or trees across the road, our crews come in, and that's the first group that is actually out on the streets after a storm is the Forestry and Parks Department. Because of the storm that we had all of our forestry crews in, especially starting with that first storm. And it was Chuck's very first day. He joined us, so he got to see us in kind of a storm response mode, which we've done issues with flooding, and we've had our snow storms. So now we moved on to our tree damage and wind storms. But so the crews, starting that first morning, we immediately put our crews on 12-hour shifts. So our guys in Parks and Forestry worked 12-hour shifts, and they just finished with the first storm when we got our next storm, which was June 30th. The June 30th storm clipped the lakefront primarily and really hit Forest Park and all along kind of that eastern side of Lake Forest. So not all of Lake Forest maybe felt it, but because of the significant damage down at that particular park, both the roadways were blocked that night. So cars were trapped down below who couldn't leave the park. We had to get the roads open. And the guys were down there. They just, I don't know if you had a chance to see them after that storm, but the trees were just snapped over all the walkway. The wooden boardwalk was closed for a number of days. And we lost, at that particular site, we lost about 35 to 40 trees. And there was no rhyme and reason either to the trees that were hit. I've had a couple phone calls that said, maybe if we tree trimmed, just the damaged trees better in town. These kinds of storms, because of their wind shear, etc., they were snapping off the tops of healthy trees, and the tree that was dead adjacent to it, or maybe had some weakened limb, maybe not touched at all. It was very sporadic, and it was a mixed bag throughout all of these storms. And then the third storm we had was in July, and that again hit all of Lake Forest. And so we just had finished doing some of our cleanup through every ward when we had to go back through every ward and do cleanup. We were really, really fortunate as a city to still have our own streets and sanitation department. They had the garbage trucks that then were able to go and follow behind our crews and pick up stuff as we put debris at the street and get it out and haul it off. So with them off on Wednesdays, we could use all of their vehicles on Wednesdays to support the Parks and Forestry. But I think what's important, to share with that is, just to kind of give you an idea with some of the statistics that, we had 23 garbage truck fulls just of, the loose brush and logs. We had about 300 yards of wood chips, which was equal to 15 semi-truck loads of wood chips that were produced. We had 20 plus vehicles on the street every day. We had 22 chainsaws, and it's interesting just to kind of behind the scenes is that these guys were doing 12-hour shifts, so they were running back their chainsaws when their shifts ended, and we had guys there during the night sharpening all the chainsaws so they could go back out the next day. We couldn't do more than 12 hours because in the dark it's too dangerous to work and the power lines and things, so that's why we went to the 12-hour shifts. We had 356 trees that were just on our list alone that had hanging limbs dangling in town from the storms that our guys had to get back up in with either special ropes or cables or whatever to help get them down. And overall, we know the city lost on our city property 81 trees. We had 18 that are kind of parkway removals that were still to be done at the point that we did the report to City Council, and we had 35 trees that were down at Forest Park we had to remove. I believe, Chuck, we finished all of those removals at this point?
There's still some at Forest Park.
Okay, so we still have some to do at Forest Park. And I think what's really amazing with this, if you look at the next slide that we have, which is our financials, when you added it all up between the areas, Parks and Forestry and Public Work, it was a storm. The 3 storms cost the city a total of $180,035. The golf course was impacted because we lost power during the storms, and so they were unable, and we had some tree damage there. It impacted our ability to run the golf course, and actually we were open most of the time, but people didn't think we were open because we had limited power or the power wasn't consistent. So we lost a lot of revenue at the golf course, which, as you know, is not a place right now where we would desire to lose any revenue. But financially, it was quite a challenge. We have filed with the county in hopes that there might be some, state or federal funds that might come our way from a disaster relief, but at this point we don't know what will happen with that. And then the last thing is we got to do things at Forest Park, as Chuck mentioned. We've got most of the critical done and we have filed, but it's interesting also to understand that when you have this much diverted work, to storm damage, we got behind in other, aspects of our maintenance in our parks. And, as much as we want to do it all, we've been really strapped to try to get back on course and get done what we need to get done. The rain and the cooler temperatures has not made the grass stop growing, unfortunately. So normally about this time of the year, we aren't doing mowing, and we're still doing mowing. We have weeds, and we know we have weeds and, some of the parks and around the beds and stuff. We are trying to get back to that as quickly as we can. Some of the smaller things that do get called into us, like a missing net off the basketball hoops, normally we'd have a guy out there in an hour, we're saying we'll try to get to that tomorrow. We are trying to still do catch up at this point, but the guys have really, done a great job of trying to find the right balance and keeping them out there doing, the basics that have to get done in other areas of town where we did this storm cleanup. So my hat's off to really, all the Parks and Forestry crews, because it was unprecedented. We learned an awful lot from this. We're going to be working on, still continuing to craft a good response plan that will, serve us well going into the future as well. And again, I think that from a city perspective, the cooperation amongst all the departments, for me as a department head, was really, really wonderful to see. And I think we fared, we had a lot of damage here, and yet we, as a community, were really able to kind of turn it around pretty quickly and get everything back open and usable for our residents. Obviously, what we didn't have control over was the ComEd issues. We're working with that. The city has expressed its concerns to ComEd, and ComEd, of course, is trying to see what they can do to do better. And that probably one of the most frustrating things for Trish and others who are fielding the phones is the expectation that we could fix their power in addition to the tree issues, and that wasn't in our responsibilities. But we did have a great team effort here, and I think we're hopefully moved through that, and like I said, getting back on track. But I thought it'd be helpful for the park board to kind of hear that and what that has impacted. Obviously, we had other issues at rec center and the rec staff as well. Normally, we could use our camps if the weather's bad outside. We bring them indoors. Well, when you had no power, we couldn't bring them to some of our rain locations. So, things that were at the Forest Preserve for McCormick Day Camp, they had to go to Ellowa where there was power. And normally we'd be at Deer Path Middle School, and it had no power, but we were able to go to the high school. So we shifted them all to the high school. So we were fortunate. We kept all of our camps up and running with the exception of the ones that were at the rec center that was preschool. And a few of the programs that we had at the rec center. But it was a moving domino effect with a lot of people and a lot of residents. And I have to say, I really appreciated the community's response to it too. They were really, appreciative of what we did, and really understanding when we had to make those calls and say, we're changing this today, or we're doing this field trip instead of what we normally do. The town was very supportive as well. So I'm glad to have moved through all of that, and knock on wood, we won't have any more this fall. But I just think that it was important to kind of share that from the Park and Rec and Forestry perspective. And my hat's off to Chuck for sticking around in his first 3 weeks of starting in that environment, because it was quite interesting for all of us.
Mary, I'm just curious, what does the city do with all the debris and wood chips?
Well, the wood chips, we have some of them at the compost center. We also do store them at a few other sites. Residents can, come and get the wood chips. The nice thing was we were able to work out an arrangement where because we had the old MS site, and that was one of the biggest challenges we had, is that normally we would haul all of our stuff to the compost center, our branches and our things that we were going to, the wood chips that we had. With the stoplights out, the travel time to get across town to the compost center was over an hour per load. And so it just wasn't efficient and effective. We couldn't get there. And so we opened the old MS site, and we were able to store things. So everything on the east side of Green Bay went up to the MS site, and everything that was on the west side of town got taken to the compost center. And then we were able to make an arrangement with a gentleman who, if we would get all the debris, like from the MS, all the loose brush and stuff, up to him, so we just had to haul it up to a Lake Bluff location. He took it off our hands, and he was going to chip it. But for us to put all the man hours in, and we didn't have a need for any of there was so much of it that we could then, get it off our site. It was more cost effective for us to do that and not spend all that time hauling it and shipping it and stuff for the next couple months with our crews. So we're really fortunate to, make some contact with people that could help us do that kind of part of it too. I know that Lake Bluff in particular got hit very hard, and Waukegan and further north, and there was a lot of requests for chippers from other communities, if you could spare staff. Even our garbage department, our sanitation department went down to Winnetka after the big floods that they had right after that, and they spent a day down there helping out the community of Winnetka, trying to get them on their feet, because they just had so much to bring to the curbs that they couldn't possibly pick it all up and get it off their streets. So a lot of community teamwork on the North Shore as well to get through these storms and stuff. So
Illinois Beach State Park is still closed.
Is it? Yeah, the north got really, really hit, and its recovery time is a challenge. Now I know from a park and forestry perspective, we've talked about getting back into maybe a higher level of our tree trimming in our budget, and we're going to see whether or not, to what degree we can manage that. It has been something that has been reduced in the last 10 years, and we can't probably go back to the highest trimming level that maybe we had back in the 90s, but maybe we need to focus a little bit more on that, and also just to make sure our tree inventory, we started a quality tree inventory process. So we've learned a lot from this storm, and I think that we can continue to make it better as we go forward too, so.
Great.
Okay. And then just a couple things I wanted to mention is there has been, we have selected a date, confirmed a date for the joint meeting of the Park Board with the Historic Preservation Commission to have the Forest Park Project Board present to the two boards and give you an opportunity to ask questions on the progress that they've made on the master plan. And that's going to be on Wednesday, September 21st at 6:30 here at City Hall, and I will email that out to you as well, so you'll have that from me. But I just wanted to mention that it will be a public meeting, open to the public as well. And obviously I would encourage the Park Board to go to the Forest Park Project Board website and read their interim reports and obviously look at what questions you might have for that night. And I'd be happy to talk with each of you as well about anything that you might have for that particular evening. They're obviously looking for feedback at this point in the stage so they can refine where they're headed with their plan and make sure that they've looked at things from all different perspectives, not only historic preservation, but also, public use, park needs, that kind of thing. So that's on the 21st. We have fall registration underway for all of our programs and classes, so everybody's been on vacation. Hopefully you're coming back in town, so come on over or go online and sign up for the rec classes. And we hope to get classes started here soon, right after Labor Day. Most of the classes will start up, so registration's still happening. And then the Heritage Festival, I just wanted to mention that, is at the end of the month. And the information's going out or has gone out in the dialogue. I was off last week, so I'm not sure if it's hit the streets yet, no. But it's going to kick off on September 3rd. It's a Saturday. And there's an ice cream social. It's going to be from 2 to 4. And then from 3:30 to 5:45 is going to be a jazz artist, Clark Summers, performing. 4:30 to 8 is going to be the Taste of Lake Forest. And then 6:30 to 10 is the rock concert with the Dave Mason Band. And then at 10 o'clock is going to be the Laser Light Show, which will wrap up that Heritage Festival. So all this information is going to be coming out to all the residents. It's also posted on the city's website and on the 150 website as well. So our staff are obviously very busy with this this project as well. Parks and Forestry will be very involved with all the things from picnic tables to trash cans throughout, making sure the irrigation lines are shut off in the park so they don't turn on, just helping with a lot of logistics, tree trimming, sprucing up the downtown area. This whole event is held all around Market Square and City Hall here. Sally's very involved with sunrise service that will be down at the lakefront. We've also been doing the Heritage Tree and Buy Tree program. So again, we're happy to be a part of this unique opportunity for our community to celebrate as well. And we did just finish Lake Forest Day. Happy to report that though we had some damage because of the rain and the turf, it wasn't as bad as we've had in the past. So we were able to do some restoration of that and keep that open for the football that St. Mary's plays there in the fall, so that was good. And we did have to make some modifications in order to get all the carnival rides and everything in this year, which I think was a good process to use. We didn't let them drive across the west side of the park to the east side of the park, and brought them all around from the tennis court side and then driving down the park. And that, I think, was very helpful this year in minimizing, having that heavy trucks and that soft earth. But I know they got hit with rain, which is unfortunate for them. But again, our crews were on hand for that whole event, and happy to assist with that. And it's been it was a busy August. We're going to end with a busy, start September, I should say, busy as well. And I think that's really about it. We're moving along, enjoying wrapping up summer and getting ready to start fall. So
great, sounds good. Thank you. Any comments from the park board members?
No.
So many of us. And there's no one in the audience. So can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make the motion to adjourn.
In second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Meeting's adjourned.
It's very efficient. It's just
Nice, it's very.
is all